Businesses are hurting. Sometimes you feel like you get stuck, you feel stagnant, you feel like you don't know what to do next to actually grow this thing that you've created, or you just feel like it could come crashing down at any moment. If you feel that way and you want to get out of that rut and actually make a successful business, this is the video that you've landed on that will teach you how to do exactly that. Because I built this framework and I implemented it in my business years ago, and it completely changed my entire view. I've seen it work from everything from low ticket to high ticket, products, services, in person, online, what have you. These 3 easy steps, if you watch to the whole video and you implement these right now, you would understand how to build a successful business every single time or grow your existing business into a successful one. But before we begin, my name is Alexander. If you don't know me, I work one-on-one with business owners to help them achieve more profits, to actually help them grow. And I do that by changing how they do their sales, their marketing, and their operations, because it's all about the fundamentals. There are no hacks, secrets, cheats, breaking the algorithm. It's all about learning these techniques. And once you actually increase your value, your business's value, by learning these techniques and these fundamentals, you can apply them to anything. So let's go ahead and begin with the 3 pillars. And this is what every successful business is made up of. What you're looking for is to start these and do these in chronological order. Each one of these is going to be the step. So this will be step 1, step 2, step 3. You have your sales, your marketing, and your value. Once you understand how each one of these components is integral not only to your business's success, but how to actually manipulate them in your favor so that you can solve them and then move on to the next step and then get even better results, everything becomes so much clearer. There's no more guesswork. So what you want to focus on first is going to be sales. The lifeblood of any company at the end of the day, be it a $5 item or a $500,000 item. The problem with most businesses is that they struggle with sales. And there's only 3 ways that you can make money in a business. You can either get more customers or people to buy your thing, lower costs to deliver on that product, so cheaper ingredients, less time, more efficient process to actually lower the cost of fulfillment, or you can increase value. Rewrite that. And what we're focusing on right now is a little bit of all 3 of these. But the reality is, the first thing you're going to need to do with sales before you even begin is you need to understand who. Who are you selling to? And the idea behind this is that you don't want to throw what's called a wide net. When you start to sell to people, you need to understand that every business, Walmart, McDonald's, Airbnb, Tesla, Spotify, where every big business on the planet has a customer avatar. Or for all intensive purposes, if you want to get less technical with it, your dream customer. Let me provide an example of the impact that this can make to a business. Let's say that you offered physical therapy services. How many people out there do you realistically know with a bad back that's aching, they're sitting in a chair? That could be everybody in theory. That could be people sitting in an office chair who are working from home as tech workers. That could be a construction worker who's on site all day. That could be a park ranger who's hiking all the time. It is theoretically an unlimited amount of people. But what you need to define first is people who fit these 3 qualities. 1, pain. Your target customer you want to start to define should have pain, and you should understand that pain. They should be in a market, ideally, that's growing, and they should be defined, or at least definable qualities. These are going to be the first things that you're looking for to paint who you're selling to. And pain can be relative to anything. If the pain is, I can't find a cheeseburger at 1 a.m., McDonald's solves that problem. If the pain is I'm looking for a flashy car to attract more people and up my social status, Ferrari solves that problem. You need to understand these three qualities and merge these into your dream customer. Think about all the issues that your skills could solve realistically and translate those into solving the pain from their perspective. That means that, let's say, for instance, you were offering tech support. If I'm offering tech support to a Gen Zer, to a grandmother, or to a parent with their child's game console, theoretically, it's all the same thing. That person might have a game console that they just need some simple fixes for. That person might have a MacBook that they're doing creative projects on, or the person might have a litany of different laptops sitting in a drawer somewhere and they're just ready to go through it. But you need to find who needs that impact the most. If I was selling computer repair services or technical assistance, I want to look for people who ultimately have the highest degree of pain in the fastest growing industries and have the most definable qualities. For example, if I'm selling that to somebody who might pay $99 for a tune-up on the computer, that's not really going to be a very impactful crowd that I'm selling to. But if I go and target businesses out there that rely on technology, that have very high degrees of pain with technology, they need to use this computer to get the job done, but they're struggling with it. They're growing, so let's find a business out there that's always growing, and then they are defined. They should have attributes like job titles or something you could target with advertising or digital quantifiable metrics. They should be somebody who is more than just, okay, they have a pulse, I'm going to sell to them. So the first thing, who are you selling to? Define that person, get really good and fixated and obsessed with providing value to that customer. The second thing you're going to want to do is language. When you sell your thing, you are speaking from your perspective in the industry, and you're trying to relay your value to your customer over here. And all that your customer knows is that your thing might solve their problem, but the terms you're using are fundamentally incompatible. What does that mean? Let's say, for instance, that I was selling video gear, and all that you about as a realtor, let's say I'm selling it to a real estate agent, is that you look good on camera, that it's high quality, it shoots very good, the colors are great, I want to look good on camera. And you come at them and you say, yeah, it's 4K HDR, 422 10-bit, and H.265 codec. Well, that's me, the videographer, looking at you and saying, yeah, this is a spec sheet, these are the features that I know. They just want to make sure they look good. Same thing, for example, if I'm selling a computer. Is it fast? Is it snappy? Does it browse the web fast? Can I load my apps? Questions that a customer would probably ask when they go into the local computer store, but things that you, let's say I'm a salesman, as the local computer nerd, are going to say like, it's an octa-core with 10 gigs of RAM and an HDR display and a blah, blah, blah. They don't care. So learn to start speaking your customer's language. And an easy way to do this is to actually interview your customers. Go find people who you want to buy your thing and actually ask them, what are you looking for? What are you looking to solve? What brought you in today? And they'll tell you point blank what language and the terms that they use. The last thing that you want to do with your sales after we've defined who we're selling to and what language they want to use is to ultimately understand sacrifice. So what you want to do is, let's say now you're starting to get an idea of what this product or service might look like based on that customer's needs. You need to now understand what are all the sacrifices that they're going to experience to actually have to get through this. And that might mean as simple as I can make this an online booking button, I can make it a buy button, they're going to have to contact me to get a custom quote. Look at all the things that they have to go through to get from point A, which is the pain they're experiencing right now, to the point where they want to be, which is the dream existing on the other end. And every single little notch in your sales process should be broken down. What you want to do is build a sales map. And the idea behind your sales map is going to be all the steps listed out from point A to when they initially encounter your product or service, all the way to point B and map that out. What milestones does it take? What does it look like? Let's say, for instance, I sell you an iPhone and you want to go buy it. You go to the Apple store. You're going to have to check that you can buy it. You have the funds, or you're going to have to explore financing. It's going to be shipped to your house in a couple days. You're going to have to get a SIM card or an eSIM or something like that from the carrier to actually get, all the service. You're going to have to sign up for an iCloud account. You're going to have to pick the storage. There's a lot of steps involved from getting to those 2 points. Do the same thing with yours. If you sell a landscaping service, what does it look like from finding your landscaping service all the way to a beautifully manicured lawn? There's tons of steps in there. Outline those, map them out, and start to actually write those down on a sheet so that when you're selling to somebody, you can convey that experience and they have a better understanding. So, to recap, what we should be focusing on is getting more people who are higher quality leads. Start to focus on people who you can bring the biggest impact to based on they have high degree of pain, they're a growing industry, and they have defined qualities. All of these right here. And then the next thing you're going to want to do is to start to pull each one of these levers here, which is, okay, can I get a bunch of people to do this thing? Can I get them to constantly be buying more from this thing, or can I lower the cost? Ideally, if you can get to the point where the cost is at its lowest, you can get as many people as possible, and you're able to increase the value of this thing in the long run, you win the game. Let's say, for example, that you have a high ticket item that you're able to sell to seemingly infinite amount of people. You're able to fulfill on that in a very short amount of time, and then once they stick with it, they just continually pay, either a monthly subscription, a yearly subscription. You now have a bunch of people who want to buy this thing. You're able to lower the cost of fulfillment because you focus particularly on this guy right here or this gal right here who needs it above all else. You'll get better and better and better at it as time goes on. And ultimately, once you're getting better results, you could start to upsell them and increase the value. That could be a subscription, that could be some sort of payment that they're making over time, some sort of financing, but something that they're continually investing back into your thing. And then the other aspect of this is the language. You need to understand how to sell it so it seems valuable to them. Which, by the way, I have a sales video, if you haven't already seen it, where I teach you how to do value mapping, which is the technique you can use for anything to sell it on easy mode. The link is in the description. Watch that video because it details how to speak the language the customer actually uses between when they're buying the thing that you're providing, and you don't have to do any guesswork. It cuts out a lot of research time, but click the link in the description. Use language that your customer understands and actually values. The next thing you're going to want to understand is the sacrifice. This is a sales map. You want to map out everything from start to finish that is involved with getting your product or service to the very end where they get the value on it, and plot it out like an actual story. It starts with A, then goes to B, then goes to C, then goes to D. You will start to identify holes, problems, things that could be refined, simplified within your actual delivery window that make this whole process easier. It might be something as small as offering 2-day shipping, or it might be something as big as we can shave 15 days off of the whole delivery window if we just outsource this particular component. But focus above all on selling to somebody you can make the biggest impact to. Now, the second thing you're going to want to focus on is marketing. And of course, as every good business owner knows, marketing is the way to go. If you look at any entrepreneurial, they'll say the same thing. They would invest in marketing time and time again. The problem is most business owners aren't investing anything in marketing, and that is because they don't know what they're marketing. If you've solved your sales problem, if you solved who you're selling to, if you solve what language they use, then all you need to do is throw gasoline on that already lit fire. To do this and to fix your marketing, you need to understand, most importantly, the target. Once you have your customer figured out, map them out like a stat sheet. What is their age, gender, hobby, interest, location? And you can start to break down each one of these: age, location, hobbies, job title, anything and everything should be on the table. These are just a few examples, but the more defined your customer is, the easier marketing returns become. Because the idea with marketing is to basically do this. You want to increase ROAS or ROI, and I'll explain those in a bit, but decrease spending. This is the problem with marketing. ROAS is just a fancy way of saying return on ad spend, the amount that you put into a digital marketing campaign and the return you get from it. So you put $1 in, you get $2. ROI is a more granular or probably a more broad way to think about this as your return on your investment. You put $1,000 into your marketing, you get $10,000 out. That is the most ideal scenario. But the problem is that most business owners are almost always focused on spend as much as possible to get as many eyes on the product or service, and then just continually do that and hope everything works out. This is not how big businesses and successful businesses work. You need to build a better money printing machine. And to do that, you need to have more defined targets. So what happens and what this looks like is target goes in, you display your offer, and then money comes out, or profit. And your offer is going to be comprised of many different things. This could be creative, so the images you use, the text you use, the language that you use. It could be the value, I should say, as well. We'll put creative over here. And then ultimately, sacrifice as well. Should be an S. So the idea is to have a very compelling offer paired with your marketing, paired with an ideal target so that you can achieve better profitability. And to do that, we need to go to step B. Once we've gotten our target, we need to understand what hurdles are involved in this process. So this is going to be your offer. And the idea is this. You can either basically do high value, high risk, low value, low risk, or some variation of the two. So the idea is to get an offer that comprises the highest amount. So the easiest way to think about this is you realistically can't call people up and ask them to spend $10, $20, $30, $50,000 on your high ticket item until you've earned trust. And the only way to earn trust is to increase value, is to increase your value of your marketing and decrease the risk. So start to change up your offer paired with your language in a way that makes your thing more enticing. What does that mean? For example, if you're a high ticket item, change your offer to not be about contact the sales team, but get your free offer. Give away a free guide. Market something that is a lower risk, higher value. If it's a video, if it is a guide, if it's an ebook, if it's a quote calculator, make it easy so that the value and the risk are teeter-tottering, so that the risk goes down and the value goes up. For example, let's say that you wanted to sell a service to somebody and they're looking at 10 other competitors open up in their web browser, and one of them is you right now. Between all of those, people will always pay for more convenient options, more transparent pricing, a more firm understanding of what they're getting, and a higher degree of guaranteed value or a perceived likelihood of actually getting the results. By that I mean, between those 10 items, let's say for instance that you had a company that did dog walking. If I needed to go to your website, fill out your contact form, wait for a quote, wait for you to actually get back to me with that, pay via check or whatever hard, difficult process you have, you've just lost so many customers. So you need to understand that if your offer is not easy to to act upon, a website button that has a CTA or a call to action, or basically the button on the website, the next step you want them to take, they're just going to go away. They're going to go to the next thing. Or if your offer just doesn't make sense, it's just confusing, they're going to go away. If it uses language that they don't use, they're going to go away. If it doesn't have an instance where it's ultimately understood what they're going to get out of it, so this is them hopefully winning on the other scenario, they're going to go away. So start to understand what that offer looks like from the customer's perspective. And you can do this by quantifying your skill set, your product, whatever it is, your service that you're trying to sell, and helping them understand it from their perspective. If you buy the thing, you get this result. If you buy my service, it solves this problem. If you buy my whatever, you will get this thing. Start to break it down in your offer and complete this value. And you can do this in one of two ways. You can have the value listed out. So take all the steps from your sales map that you just made and integrate your sales map into all of the outlets to where you're marketing. Or the risk can also be decreased by helping them understand not only that it's transparent, but you can also start to figure out ways to integrate that sales map using things like social proof, which is examples of you doing the thing, or you can use testimonials, or if you don't have those, you can at least get to the point with basic reviews. If you don't have any of these, then you might be too early in the process. But integrate your sales map into that offer to showcase what that process looks like. For example, you're selling weight loss. Well, we're going to get you this nutrition guide. You're going to get this gear list. You're going to get accountability text. You're going to join a community of all these people. All of those elements should be integrated somewhere. Everything that you're likely doing behind the scenes right now that makes you special, that makes you competitive, just put that front and center. That's the whole premise behind this. Start to use it in language that they understand and that they value, and put that offer front and center. And then the last thing you can do with your marketing is you need to start to think in data. And what does this mean? If you're doing marketing, the chances of that first ad or the first thing that you're going to launch out the gate that's going to suddenly just blow up overnight is very slim. So what you can start to do is launch your first ad, and then underneath that, you want to do a process called split testing. So this is your ad, or at least your campaign. This is your first ad, your second ad, and your third ad. Change elements of it, only one variable at a time, to make it a lot more enticing from the get-go, but to understand which performs the best. So, for example, if you're running an ad for your product or service, take the whole thing, run the same ad 3 times, but change one piece of it. The headline, the image, the video, the picture inside of it, the subtitle, the button text. Change one thing at a time. Find out which one performs the best. Maybe it's ad 3, where in all 3 of these instances you use the same image, and one of them over here just has the best headline, and then repeat that process. Bring ad 3 up into here and make new variations of it. Keep doing this process over and over and over again until you have the best performing ad. You can do this process in anything. Split testing is the idea that you don't want to just launch this thing like a silver bullet that's going to blow up overnight. You're going to go viral, be a multimillionaire. Split testing will allow you to get better marketing returns, better advertising for less advertising spend. So to recap, marketing, define your target. Figure out who needs your thing the most and that you can plug into a digital advertising platform, or if you're doing a physical advertising platform, figure out where those people hang out. If there's magazines, newspapers, if it's a billboard, if all those people are congregating somewhere and they're more likely to convert, do not do a wide net method. Don't throw money into the pot and just broadcast to as many eyes as possible. Broadcast to the best eyes who are most likely to buy your thing. Second thing is your offer and your language. If you're selling the same product or service to multiple customer avatars or multiple dream clients at a time, or even if you're doing one, change up the language each time to make it seem more valuable. Find the pain points that they have in the way that they communicate and translate that into your marketing campaign. And start to understand what of those variables you can change using C. Think in data. Think in ways that you can understand that process is iterative. Marketing is always iterative. There's pretty much no instance where you're going to run something overnight and it's going to just blow up. So you need to start to adjust, adapt. Even if you get the winning ad, the chances of that ad being applicable 6 months, a year from now are pretty low. If you saw the same McDonald's ad 100 times in a row over the course of a year, you don't probably want to buy McDonald's. You get mad when you see that ad. You are no different. So start to think about ways you can mix and match different pieces of those. If you can find the best performing photo, the best performing headline, the best performing button text, and merge all those into one super ad, that is not the end of the story, but that is a great way to get on the right track. That ad could perform for 1 year, 6 months, 5 years, and then you have the techniques to all of a sudden readapt, change that ad again. If this is too confusing, by the way, and if this video was valuable to you, I would love to offer you a free business audit wherein I can actually work with you one-on-one for about a half an hour of our time, and I'll just tell you the exact steps you need to take to grow your business. All you have to do is click on the link below and you could book an appointment. We'll hop on a call and I'll show you the exact steps you need to fix your broken business and start getting to the better life you've always dreamed of, where your business is a success. Or you can also DM me on Facebook, whichever is easier. Now we move on to step 3, which is value. One of the most underutilized things I see in every business time and time again, because people are obsessed with sales. How do I get more people to buy my thing? How do I get more leads? How do I get more customers? How do I get more clients? And then they move on to oh, if enough people saw my thing, I need to run more Facebook ads. I need to run more Google ads. I need to print more. That's fine. The ultimate thing that you have right now is trust. If people have already bought your thing, value is what is related to your LTV, or your lifetime value. Let me provide a real-world example of this. Starbucks sells a cup of coffee for $5. So does the local coffee shop. Yet the local coffee shop probably has 3 to 4 employees, maybe that, and is struggling to survive. And Starbucks is a billion-dollar business. Why is that? That is because Starbucks and local coffee shop, even though they sell a $5 cup of coffee, Starbucks makes $15,000 per customer because of their lifetime value. That's the total amount that a customer will spend from now until the end of time with Starbucks. The coffee shop probably will make maybe $1,000 if that customer is loyal for the next 2 years of their life. But I guarantee you, how many times have you seen somebody go into a Starbucks and say, I want the beans, I want the merch, I want the mugs, I want to use the app, I want to do all of these things that Starbucks had. And that is because Starbucks' LTV is through the roof. So you need to explore the same thing. There's 2 instances where this comes into play. Either number 1, you have high upfront, and then low LTV, or sometimes you'll have low upfront and high LTV. Now, that's not to say there aren't things that are expensive that people also spend reoccurring payments on, but most often than not, you buy a car, gas is considerably cheaper, or you buy a software product like an online subscription and you spend a ton of money over the next 10 years with that thing. But in most instances, you're probably going to fit into one of these boats here. You're either a high ticket item and hopefully you have a reoccurring upsell, or you have a low investment upfront and then you have high LTV. Now, the beauty and the magic of this is it's substantially cheaper to convert a customer you've already sold to into high LTV applications. Most of the time, it's going to be some sort of monthly reoccurring payment or a yearly reoccurring payment, or it's some sort of subscription model, or even then you can upsell them on other packages. So the idea behind this is one, or I should say A, upsells. Now, when it comes to upsells, you have to understand that your customer does not need to spend the bulk of that money as an upfront package with you. If you wanted to get that customer to spend thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions perhaps with you, you need to make it either in a more digestible format or you need to build equity in the long run. What does that mean? So upsells are basically an easy way to add more value for typically less cost upfront. So let's say you have a website package, for example, and you want to upsell something like a maintenance contract. You might charge very little for the website, but then you might charge a 6-month maintenance package added onto it, which feels like it's a less of a dent to the monetary investment. Or you might have instances where your upsell all of a sudden can also be what's called equity. And the idea behind equity inside of your upsell or equity inside of your LTV increase or your lifetime value, or basically getting to spend more money over time, is that you want to find ways to integrate direct impact into the business over a period of time. What does that mean? Let's say that you sold this website and all of a sudden you say, hey, we charge yearly for the hosting package. Or let's say you had a weight loss program. Hey, we do monthly check-ins. Or let's say you had like a landscaping service. Hey, we come here every couple of months to do the same service. It is easier to get them to subscribe to that thing and stick with it as long as they know that the value is continual. That is what equity is all about. If you don't have that, then all of a sudden if they leave and they say, I can get the same thing from somebody else, there's really no reason to stick with you. So the reality is you want to figure out a way to directly integrate your thing straight into their stack, into their product or service, or into a customer's life. Let's say, for example, you had a lead generation tactic that you had sold to somebody, and all of a sudden they're thinking of leaving. That's fine. But I'm actually going to take that lead gen structure with me. And that is the reason that you need to stick with me. It sounds a little bit salesy, but you need to position it as understanding the value that they're getting, because if they don't understand it, then there's no reason for them to stick around. For example, if you don't do that, you're stuck as a commodity. That means that they could theoretically get the same thing from somebody else. But once they understand contextually that they're typically starting over, or they're not able to get a similar experience without an extreme amount of sacrifice, the equation becomes different. Have you noticed, for example, when you leave certain software applications, that all of a sudden they say, we're sorry to see you go, you're going to lose access to this thing, you're going to lose access to that thing, you're going to lose access to this thing, but if you stick around, we'll give you 25% off for your next month. That is because suddenly the question becomes, well, I don't really want to lose access to those resources. So if you can find a way to get that equity directly into somebody's life, if they feel like they need to stick around to continually have that, that's the best route to take. Or if you've done an upsell, if you've tried to sell them on a reoccurring service or a new package, if you have the equity into their business and or into that customer's life, and this is now an integral part of their day-to-day operations, or even the customer's day-to-day routine, the last thing you can do is ultimately just get them more education, basically. So the easiest way I think about this is new problems. So let's say, for instance, or actually a better way to think about this is experiences. So let's say, for instance, you've all of a sudden sold this package. And at the end of the day, it solves a very complex problem, but now they have new problems. So now you need to come in and integrate that into their life. So if they have new problems, that is your chance to basically upsell them or build a new package relative to those new problems. And you'll keep doing this process until the market says no. Or if that's just not enough for them, let's say they got the dream outcome, they're shiny, they're happy, they love it, they're in that heightened emotional state, then you can provide them with new experiences. You know what? I love that you're such a big fan of my product or service. How would you like to go to the gold tier, to the diamond tier, to the platinum tier? Keep doing this, keep ascending that customer or that client until they say no. Once you do that, you have them ready to go because they feel like they're getting newer, bigger experiences. If we use Starbucks as an example, what they're doing right now is they're going to upsell you on quite a bit. When you download the app, you get you get the loyalty program. Or when you go through checkout, there's all those little treats at the front. Those are there on purpose. Or when you're in there, there's all of a sudden a new promo or equity. Notice how the app, the loyalty program sticks with it. When you stick with it, you become a part of that. And if you leave Starbucks and you go to a competing coffee business, you can't use that app. You can't get the rewards. You're going to lose all of those perks. You're going to lose your points. They're going to expire. And most importantly, the new problems, new experiences, it's the same thing. They go from free Wi-Fi to buying food, to buying a cup of coffee, to buying a bag of beans, to buying merch, to going to the private reserve, to going to private events. It just keeps going. And then all of a sudden you're a Starbucks fan for life. It's the same thing. It's why there's groups, this tribal mindset with people who buy things for people who buy the products or services, the super fans or the whales or the people out there in the business who feel so aligned with their brand that they would stick with it for life. That is why you need to continually either help them fix new problems or continuously provide new experiences. It's not over. If you can continuously ascend them, keep raising the bar, keep getting them into your bubble, if you can keep getting them into that, then there's no stopping. So to recap, LTV will save your business. It will make everything so much easier if you can continuously nurture those. They have the trust, they've already bought from you. Figure out ways to keep them buying from you. It's so much easier to get somebody to buy more stuff from you if they've already bought something. So you can either do that by upselling them on something new, by building equity, directly integrating your product or service into their day-to-day routine, into their life, into their business, making it that so it's a part of that. Or ultimately you can figure out what those new problems or new experiences they're craving are, and then build more upsells based on that to get them to go higher, to get them to be better, to be faster, whatever version of that is, whatever you're solving. So look for ways to create new opportunities. Don't just stop once they've bought your core service. They're probably going to have stuff that they want afterwards. And if you can keep doing that, you'll get customers who stick with you for life and continuously spend more at your business. This is how big businesses do this all the time. You've probably done it without realizing it, but you've been a creature of habit and spent so much money with these businesses. So, I hope this information was valuable to you. If this was something that you want to see more of, I would love it if you would like, comment, subscribe, and check out these other videos. I post one at least once a week. That's all I got for you today. Until then, I'll see you guys next time.